And then I think the thing that stops most people from being successful is they start playing an entrepreneurial game like business acquisition, the way they played their former YouTube employee job. I don't know anybody that's gotten out in this place without working hard. They either worked hard on stuff that they thought about, strategized around, proactively chose, or they worked hard at the suffering that came from not making a choice, not being proactive, doing the bare minimum, running their lives based on other people's wishes and whims, and putting themselves in precarious situations because they were unwilling to work to get out of them. And so if your concept is, it's going to be hard, it's going to be hard, pick a hard that if you win, it makes sense. When I say a lot, like I want to be playing games that I want to win.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Unlike Marketing. Here today we have a great guest. I know for everyone, I haven't had a guest for a little bit, but I'm super excited for this one. Elliott. Just to introduce him, Elliott is an expert in acquiring small and mid-sized businesses with over 15 years of deal experience. He's an Harvard MBA, has worked in private equity, operated as an independent sponsor, has been a self-funded searcher. So he's a truly been in the buyer seat. He caught the acquisition bag back in 2009 and built his career learning from some of the best acquirers in the country. Eventually, he founded Guardian because he saw a major gap. Diligent solution for smaller deals just weren't good enough. His mission is simple: help first-time buyers avoid expensive mistakes and execute deals with confidence. Hello, Elliott. Welcome to the show. Let's start with this. How did you first get into buying businesses?
Sure. I wanted to be rich. So,
That's good.
when I started looking at business school in 2008 or nine, I was doing consulting work at a company called Accenture. I had a mentor who was familiar with business school because he had gone as well. And he was like, if you're going to go to a top business school, you should look at private equity. And like most of us, I didn't know what the heck that was.
Mhm.
So he saw it in my face. So he sent me the compensation for private equity professionals. I was like, oh yeah, this is what I want to do. This is it. Yeah. Buy a company. And, I was a little bit off the beaten path. So I wasn't working on Wall Street. I wasn't doing investment banking. And so when I got to Harvard, it was tough for me to get into it, but I thought that the business buyers, the private equity professionals in my business school were some of the smartest people at a place that's competitively difficult for smart people. So I started into the business buying industry just wanting to be rich. I'm sure I'm not alone in that.
Yep. That's pretty much everyone starts either start a business. A lot of people don't know they can buy a business. That's one of the reasons why I'm super excited to have you here. Is I want to. They've seen so many people going through this podcast with different background. Everyone started his own business, but you are the first one in this podcast that we actually going to speak about something different. That's like how to buy a business.
Sure.
That a solution that lately I think has become more known and more people are jumping into it. But like in 2009, like you were saying, or even like 3 4 years ago, no one was really speaking about it. How do you think has changed it, like since you've been from there since 2009? Are there still opportunity for someone that just starting that maybe has not enough money? Like how do you see this going?
Sure. So I absolutely think there's still opportunities. I think there are. So the part of the market that I currently play in is self-funded search. So there's kind of private equity is the top level of business acquisition, and we'll go through this later if it's helpful. The private equity, then like the independent sponsor stuff is sort of similar to private equity, but similar to kind of search fund, fundless sponsor kind of thing. And then there's search, which is bifurcated into funded traditional search, which started 30 years ago, and self-funded search, which has really only gotten popular in the past 3 to 5 years. So I focus on self-funded search, which typically means deals under $1 million in EBITDA or cash flow. And usually people are using SBA 7A loans here in the United States. So I think there are 1,000 good deals each year. And I think the data supports that. There's some information that's been put out around kind of the SBA 7A data that's available through the government, how many SBA 7A loans are used
Mhm.
for acquisition each year. And the number has hovered around 1,000 for the past 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
So those businesses tend to do very well. The default rate is pretty low on those. So I think there's still great opportunity. How has it changed? Well, I think before there probably might have been only 1,000 people looking, and many of
Mhm.
them probably weren't young MBAs. Um, in 2009, they weren't. Self-funded was, the country club, John buying Jim's business kind of thing. Now it's an alternative to post MBA careers and actually alternative to almost any career. And so I think there may have only been 1,000 people. So it was almost like musical chairs and maybe one person didn't get a seat. Now I think there's 10,000 people, maybe even more, looking at the same 1,000 deals. And so does that make it harder for someone to find and execute a good transaction? Yes. Do I think it removes the opportunity? No.
Yeah. How do you I feel like this is like go deeper in that. Why do you think it doesn't remove the opportunity? Where is the even if there are more people, what make the difference? Like why do you think the opportunity is still there?
Well, I'm sure that the purchase price on an average deal out of those 1,000 has gone up over the past
Hmm.
15 years, right? But if you think like markets are sort of or close to efficient, the reason there's so much excitement about this is because there's still a lot of wealth creation, even at the higher multiple. So if we remove that, what we're actually saying is like there's some wild forest somewhere with 1,000 pots of gold. And it's, can you, your friends, the guy across the street is competing with you, go find that unique forest and find one of those pots of gold. So the opportunity is absolutely still there. And then I think the thing that stops most people from being successful is they start playing an entrepreneurial game like business acquisition
Hmm.
the way they played their former W-2 employee job. And to make a lot of assumptions, in most W-2 jobs, you get paid for making your boss look good, not threatening your boss and doing whatever your boss says, good, right, wrong, efficient or not, right?
Hmm.
Um, always responding to your boss or any emails that you get, never being seen as aloof, distant, or too thirsty, right? You're kind of in that middle. Where most people get screwed up in search is they play by those rules that really only work on a job. And I think almost a job that doesn't have to do with sales. I think salespeople figure this out sooner. That sometimes you need to be 5 minutes after an email. Sometimes you need to be 5 days. Sometimes you ask, what do you need to close this deal? Sometimes you say, this is my final price. I'm not going to budge a bit. Sometimes you use the King's English. Sometimes you curse. Sometimes you're nice. Sometimes you're mean. And all those things can contribute towards a successful business acquisition. Whereas most people have only been trained on one or two of those sort of skills. And many of them have been so trained in there's 100 things I'm asked to do today by my boss. I need to make sure all 100 of them are done because if he asks about number 99 and a half and I didn't get it done, I might get on a performance improvement plan where in business acquisition, nobody gives a you know what about
Hmm.
100 items. It's which items did you decide were the most important to get done today.
No, that's good. Yeah, it's I for some people don't know, like I have been now for a year jumping and trying to buy a business and everything. That's how I met you, just like at the end of last year. I'm really happy that I was able to meet you, to speak with you. There is so much I was able to learn, just like some of the call and emails that we exchanged. And one things that um, I was reminded by you, and it's kind of like interesting because a lot of what I share in this podcast is also connected to the Bible and God and everything. Is that
Okay.
often we trying to figure out everything before we make the next steps.
Sure.
And one thing that a lot of challenge me at this process is that you cannot have everything figured out. Like it's they don't allow you also because like once even if you sign NDA, even more I noticed from the beginning of the last year to just the end of this year, the beginning of this year, they're like they're not sharing anymore the same amount of information. They are even more picky. They're like, oh no, yeah, you need to get an LOI, or you need to first send a IOI offer, and then if we like, if the seller like it, then maybe we give you a little bit more. Maybe you jump in a call with the seller. It's
Sure.
like there is no certainty on anything. Like you
Nope.
literally just like you're just like okay. I don't like to say that, but like I think like partially is gut. Like you have to be like
Yeah.
okay, there is some numbers. I see
Yeah.
that looks pretty good. What my
Oh,
gut
oh,
is
oh,
saying.
yeah. Yeah. Part of the metrics that nobody wants to admit in this business endeavor that I don't say wildly or widely rather, because people don't want to accept it. But whether you call it the luck truck or God's on your side,
Yeah.
that is one of the top three metrics for success. It's like scrappiness, efficiency, and the luck truck slash God truck, however you determine what that
Yeah.
truck's name is. But you can't. And then there are people who are more efficient and smarter than the 1,000 people who got good deals done last year
Yeah.
that didn't get hit by the luck truck. And so therefore they didn't get a deal closed. There are people who are complete idiots who stumbled into maybe the world's greatest deal and didn't do anything to deserve it except maybe their God truck or luck truck was bigger than anyone that we've ever seen. And you have to get comfortable with that. The same way, who would have known, if you could pick your college degree today, I think a lot of people would have picked more STEM related things, seeing how AI and other things, even the last 15 years of sort of tech dominance, right? But
Yeah.
20 years ago, nobody knew that. And so if
Mhm.
you picked then, you weren't informed by the same information. And so if somebody judges your 20, 30 year ago choice, it's like, come on, man. School started that fall.
Yeah.
So I
It's
picked.
like it's like when people say like I should have bought a house when I was born.
My
It's like
parents should have bought it and gave it to me. Yeah, that'd have
yeah,
been
yeah.
smarter for me.
Because now I would be rich, like I'll be a
Yes.
millionaire. It's like, well,
Yes.
sure, because or like people with crypto, same things, like Bitcoin. Like, okay, some people jumped because they had the guy on it, some people they did not. And it's
So
like if you think about it or you spend too much time think about it, you're not gonna make the next steps that can be the good one for you.
now I will say this, and I've been formulating this for the past couple of months, so it's still in process. I think we're getting to a place where new entrants into this marketplace have to consider a new vector, a new angle. And I think the angle is now that buying a business is more popular, more widespread, more known. I think you have to consider not just like how are you going to be better than like average, which I think has been the case for a while, but where do you think you can considerably do more than someone else in the same situation to give yourself more almost protected at bats,
Mhm.
to give yourself more time? Um, Even if what you're doing is saying, okay, well, maybe I don't have any unique knowledge bases or relationships. So what I did is I said I didn't have any of those when I did my search. So let me try to extend it from 2 years to 4. So if I'm an idiot, I have twice as much time, right? But I
Mhm.
think you have to recognize that the traditional 2 year timeline, part-time basis, normal efficacy and efficiency is unlikely to end up in great results. So what are you going to do differently. It's not an esoteric like strategy whiteboard question like it may have been 5 years ago. It's like, no, what are you going to do differently to win?
Yeah, that's it. And many times it's like I also see that um it's not the smartest person that wins, but like it's literally like a most person that has like taken the risk more.
Yes.
Like I feel like less you know, and sometimes more you win.
Yep.
Sometimes like not always. I say like there are people like I mean even the podcast episode podcast you sent to me like where the guy entered in a partnership obviously like didn't went well and everything. um that's part of not knowing what to do can generate that and I mean for those reasons I think you have to surround yourself by people with knowledge, like for example like
Hmm.
I have with you Elliot, like
Hmm.
super happy because you know you have more experience than me and everything, but even before I come to you there is so many steps that I have to make those one it's even better to not just be too picky and have too much knowledge, but just like I feel good about this one, let me go in it. And then
So I'll give you an example of how I think the third level is. So I think level one is you don't know crap, you take risks, and a lot of times those win, particularly in markets like this. Because I think the competition is to get a deal signed up under letter of intent. I almost think it's almost a random distribution of outcomes after that. I don't think
mm,
anybody is that much better at all of the items that happen in between diligence and close, where that process is as difficult as getting a good deal under letter of intent. Now, it may be more nuanced. You may need more advisors. There's other things that make it hard after LOI. But I think you can just not know much, get a deal under letter of intent and close and be like, whoa, look at this cool thing I bought. Now, you could be a kind of person that likes knowing more. And a lot of us that have made it to this point in our careers, we know a lot, and that can hinder people. And then I think you have like a third level, which is I am crazy enough to start, smart enough to be regimented, but risk neutral enough to still take big swings in certain places where I think the opportunity to hit big outpaces the downside risk by so much that I'm ready to swing.
mhm,
And I think that's where people start really winning. I'll give you an example in my business. So like as I've marketed my business the past 8 years, I've probably had 40 to 50 different people who have worked for me on the marketing side because it's a high turnover job if you hold people to an excellent standard, and you know that as well as anyone.
mhm.
Well, I hired a guy that had some excellent testimonials and excellent work that he demonstrated his excellence. But in the first day I hired him, I was 99% sure he had a drug habit.
Wow.
Most people would not have known enough to pick up on the signals. The people who knew enough to pick up on the signals probably would have fired him. I knew enough to pick up on the signals and also knew the first choice I made to hire him was still the best one. Just don't give him a credit card number.
Yeah.
And for 2 months, for two different times, I hired him, fired him, then hired him again and let him go again. Those 4 months probably moved my marketing forward more than any other 4 employee months in the 8 years of my business. Meaning, had I given up early because I was smart enough to know he had a drug habit, no, I would have been stupid enough to let someone go based on something that didn't matter to what I was hiring them for. But
Mm.
I think that's a decent example when you start looking at deals because you'll find businesses where it's like a week before the deal closes, the guy will be like, "Hey, our head of sales has crushed it, but he's got an alcohol habit."
Yep. No, I see that. I mean, for example, like in the email, I get different email from different broker and everything. Goes with the example you say. One email I was reading, like they were saying about how it lowers so much the multiplier if a business is so much dependent on the owners, right?
Right.
For to get the sales and everything. And and like a few months ago and everything, I would have thought I'd be like, yes, you're right, 100%. It's like you said. But then today, I'm looking at other things. I just had a call like yesterday, and I was like, yes, I. It's all dependent on the owners, 100%. But then I look at their system. Like
Right.
they have some of the best relationship for suppliers. They
Yep.
get some of the best materials. Um, I'm like, I know maybe it's not the best when it comes to the owner side, and I
Sure.
need to put some type of like in the LOI. You also teach me that, and it's like you can put some type of like you can strategize or put some key that helps you like against those type of problems. But at the same time, I'm like, I can buy a relation like if this works and these people put in a relation, I can buy a relationship with like top suppliers
There you go.
that
There you go.
that it can give me like quality. And then I look at their business and like these people have 300 reviews for 4.9 stars.
Right.
As like it's showing that yes, their quality, their product, people love their product. Like and
Yeah.
anyone else in their same industry, they don't even get to 4 stars
Right.
on Google.
That's right. And I think that comes to so one way to describe that is my super smart friends. Some of them actually went to Harvard with me. They say really stupid stuff. Like, oh, I'd never, and their I'd never list is like 2 city blocks long. And it's like, you just never take a risk. Like, get out of my face. Right.
Yeah.
And then some people were like, well, what wouldn't you do? And like 10 minutes later, what's your answer? I don't know what I wouldn't do because even a crappy deal may trade at a discounted price. Um, a deal that's bad by the normal metrics may be down the street from me in a city where I know everybody, so I can mitigate a lot of the risk. Maybe the hole in the business is the exact thing that I bring to the business. And
Yeah.
so I think risk appetite is one way to describe it, but another way to describe it would be willingness to creatively think about, solve, mitigate problems. Or even said differently, maybe it's willingness to understand that this is the acquisition of an imperfect, almost living entity called a business. And that if your bar is no risk, good luck.
Yep. Yep. No, I love that. It's funny because speaking with my wife and now I don't know if you will laugh about that, but like we're thinking like buying business is almost like when you start a relationship to find a person. It's like you have this ginormous list of things that you like and you don't like, and you
Yes.
want to find everything that list. And
Yes.
like and one thing that literally God tells you like stop making lists because like
Yes.
you're not gonna find like you have to go deal by deal, you have to find person by person, and then like you have to time, step by step, you get to know the deal and see how it does.
Yes.
And when you get married, like it's not always perfect right when you start. It's not perfect. You just like, okay, I saw this person. eh, mm, I like to spend time with her. It doesn't look like I don't get bored about staying with her. Same things with
Yeah.
business. Look,
Yes.
is this business gonna make you bored? Don't take it. But like if it's
Yes.
something you enjoy and you're okay working in it,
Yes.
maybe start. and
That's
and
it.
then like with years you get better and better. My relationship with the first year with my wife compared to now, it's much better because we spent time growing together. There was up and down, but we got there. But if I had the list, I always told like if I was looking at my original list
Right.
before I met her and everything, she would never have passed
Yep.
that list.
Yep. I think that's the perfect analogy. People get real nervous about the relationship analogies. They're like the only ones I use because even not being married, I've considered it. I've been in long-term relationships. I've even been a stepfather, or at least my girlfriends have had children. So I've seen a lot of sides of life in that way. And you're right. None of the lists that I had before would have defined the best relationship I've been in. So if I
Yeah.
compare the best relationship I've been in to whatever list I thought I had,
Hmm.
totally different. That you grow. The other piece is that the award goes to the person that tried in so many ways. Tried to date several people, tried to invest a lot in one person, The person lazy at home, hoping somebody's going to walk into their house is probably the most likely to lose. Willing to trust, love, all this kind of stuff, because an entrepreneur, a optimist is a person that kind of walks around with a smile every day, knowing that it can be wiped off their face at any moment. But still, generally, the situation is more good than bad. And I think there is a lot of biblical stuff in there.
Yeah.
I think it's also kind of like you don't see the 20-year-olds with the lists having conversations with the 50-year-olds that have been in it 30 years. They just can't talk. It's
Hmm.
kind of like the people who are fresh into search don't have a lot of people who have bought business friends because you almost have to get rid of a lot of that childish stuff to be able to really have meaningful conversations with some of the experts.
Yeah. No, 100%. And then it takes time. That connection are the biggest things. It's like um making also those choice, those jump can build open up connection, like this connection with you. Like I made the jump, I took a risk, and I met you, and now I'm here having you on my podcast. It's just like um for a lot of people that was stupid, and maybe it was, but for me now I'm like, no, I actually like it. I learned. I met a person that I love. Uh, that is doing so many great things. He's helping me so much. Like the things he showed me are great, and same things with I learned from that deal. Like way to
Mhm.
speak, things to say, things to look at. That I would never done if I didn't take that risk.
That's it.
And
A lot of times the way that you monetize or benefit from risk are not anywhere close to the reasons you initially took them. I was recently part of a squad of guys that was looking at taking down a really big deal, like a household brand name. And I ended up walking away from working with them because I didn't like the deal relative to how much they did. But I am pretty sure I'll be doing business with one or more of those guys in the next 5 years. That would have never been possible had I just looked at the deal and said, I don't want to invest the 4 hours, so I'm just going to say no now.
yeah. No, that's good. And one thing I'm curious, like, what was the first business you bought? Like, and when was it?
Sure. So the first business I bought was a steel manufacturing business with a private equity group I worked for called the Watermill Group in 2009.
Okay, that was total when you start. Cool. How did the deal go?
No,
Was it
sorry,
good
not
one?
2009. 2009 when I started in search.
Okay.
2011 is when I did the acquisition.
Oh, okay. How was that deal? Did it go good? Was good? What was up and down? Like, I think like I like to show people it's like, hey, see, like we all go through this. It's okay, but you are still here. You are still successful.
You know what's funny? I don't think I knew because looking back on it, my partners at the private equity firm knew better than me, and they probably still say that they didn't know. It was when you start, you're kind of doing the work that somebody else said you should do.
Hmm.
So I did the work somebody else said I should do. I did it until they said I didn't need to do it anymore. Um, Lenders and equity investors that I didn't close put money up, and the deal transacted. And I got a little bonus fee, and I went and spent it on something stupid, I'm sure. And all right, got one done, right? Sort of. I think there are some deals that I couldn't get done as a self-funded searcher, 6, 7 years later, that probably taught me more than that first one did.
Okay, nice. But like that one was it kind of like give you the did it kind of like motivate you to keep going pretty much? Because I felt like one big part also this game is like how you stay motivated because you keep looking, keep searching, keep speaking, email after email, phone call after phone call. Sometimes I for myself, I tell like it's been 1 year, and I'm
Yep.
like sometimes I look back, I was like I should have done that deal. I should just move, and I'm like no, okay, focus, focus. It's today.
Right.
The
Right.
past is past. Just keep
Yeah.
going. Focus on the deals you have in front of you today.
I think it was motivating But at the same time, so when you haven't done a deal yet, it's hard to have this perspective. But this is also the benefit of experience, where it's like, so doing a deal when you're getting a salary, that's what private equity is.
Hmm.
It ain't the same, right? Because out of my salary, $100 came for showing up every day, and probably $10 came from closing that deal. So what did I wake up for most days? Like $100.
$100. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas when I was working a full-time job at Workday Software, those jobs aren't 40 hours. They're supposed to be 50. I whittled it down to like 20 hours a week, and I was spending 40 to 50 with the independent sponsor putting together deals. Well, that $100 on my salary that was higher then, right? So it was later, but just normalizing it to 100, I was spending 50% of that on expenses related to an entrepreneurial thing that I had no idea if it was going to be successful.
Hmm.
I was working for free under a much older independent sponsor where had I taken a second workday like job, I could have doubled my 100 to 200. I was investing it to get knowledge that I hoped I could monetize later, but there's no guarantee. And some of those days where I had to invest with no sure sign of benefit motivated me in a way too. Because I'm looking around and I'm like, well, I know in every book, experiential situation, mentor, they say the longer you're able to take risks, the more likely you are one of them's going to hit. So as I'm looking at most of my peers, oh man, it's too much. I'm giving up today. I'm just going back to the job. Oh man, I can't do this anymore. And I'm like, oh, so 20, 30 of my peers have given up and I'm still out here. That was motivating too.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, I can see that. No, that's yeah. I'm trying to think because that's pretty much it's like you have to keep going. It's like um and yeah, when you look around you, like there are so many people that just stop. They
That's it.
just that's it. They're just like, okay, I've done like 3 months. I've done maybe 5 months, 6 months, and I
Yep.
haven't seen results. I'm stopping,
Yep.
and you are at least still there. That's that. Yeah, I'm now feel motivated, but just by thinking about that, you're right. It's nice. At least I can say like I'm still running. I'm still running this race. I'm
Yeah.
not done.
And then
No,
those of
that's
us that have better jobs, it's easier just to go and say, that 100 grand, that 200 grand, that's enough, right? Nobody calls you
mm,
silly for that. But for a lot of us, it ain't enough. And then going back to the dating analogy, people talk a lot about dead deal fees and they don't speak about it explicitly, but it's also like dead deal time, right? The
mm-hmm,
time you spend on deals that didn't close. But if you flip it into like the marriage or relationship mode, it's like, hey, I don't really want dead date fees. Like, I don't want to date a bunch of gals in high school that I'm not going to marry. I don't want to date a bunch in college that I'm not going to, I don't want to be out here dating frivolously without being sure that marriage is going to happen. I just want to wake up at 28, pick the gal of my dreams, go on one date and get married because I don't want dead
yeah,
date fees. It sounds stupid,
mm-hmm,
but a lot of people attributing that W-2 mindset to deals say some form of that. And I just don't even take them seriously anymore. For me, and you probably can guess this, like until somebody sends 3 or 4 letters of intent, I don't take them seriously. They can tell me about their plans, their whole code, or their next walking word, but like, how many letters of intent you sent? Oh, one. Okay.
yeah. No, that makes sense. I mean, also like the same thing you were saying, relationship. At the end of the day, um, you like it seems so long that we spend like maybe 5 years, 10 years to find a person that we want married, but then like majority of us, they're gonna stay married for 30, 40 years. Like the goal is also to be longer. And it's like it's just the time that feels so long. It's that feeling. But if you stop thinking about like I want to reach this result by this date, and you just
Yes.
keep put the work in and don't put any time on it, you're gonna get much faster than you think.
There you go.
It's
My
like it's
goal is
putting
to
the
be a
time there.
successfully married person. And that goal is so important, I'll invest any reasonable amount of effort and time to get there.
Yeah,
I want to be the owner of one or many business assets. And so the amount of time and energy it takes to get to that goal is almost immaterial. And I think
yeah,
that's another bar. It's like, is this the next fad people are hopping on? Because that's not going to sustain them through 12 months of trying and not executing. A person who's like relative to 30 more years on a job, that was my perspective. I didn't think I could win a 30-year battle to CEO. And I had seen people that had made it all that way or had made it close. And close didn't give you nearly the benefits of making it there. And I said, before I bet 30 years that people are going to be nice to me in those last 5 or 10 years, where there's a lot of chance that I can be replaced by somebody cheaper.
yep,
Let me try my hand at this deal thing first, right? And then when that didn't work out, I became an advisor, which was a different pivot, like same skill, same industry, but different way to monetize. And again, I think even that's a testament to I had made a commitment in 2010 to being in the deal world that the benefit was so significant to me that I was going to figure out some sort of way to get there.
yep. No, that. I mean, that's testimony of like you made a choice and it pivoted a little bit, it changed a little bit, but at the end of the day was that choice that risk that made possible to be where you are now. And I agree with you, same things. I worked for a big corporation, and in the beginning my idea was like as engineer, I'm like I'm just gonna like climb the ladder, and then I start to look at everyone and I'm like this ladder doesn't look so good, honestly. I'm like, these people like first the job where I was like, oh, if you make more than 250,000 a year you have to be on a call 24/7, and I'm like wait, what? For that it doesn't sound so appealing anymore. I mean, great, yeah, you make 250,000, but then I literally have my manager say like, "Oh yeah, I was on a call last night at 3 a.m. because with some group in the Philippines or stuff like that."
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know. I believe like if you buy a business, so you open a business, you can make also 250,000 a year, but I don't have to be on a call with someone at 3 a.m.
There we go.
And that's like same thing. Like that's how I started my
There
business,
we
and
go.
now going to buying businesses. Um, and again, like you say, it's also like what you see. It's money. I think like a lot start with money, but then like it ends with lifestyle. Like you want to
Hmm.
build a life for your family, for yourself, where you can enjoy. You're not just
Yep.
running around trying to please other people, but you're just like you're enjoying, you are fulfilling something, you're fulfilling yourself, you are having time. um you're following, in my case I'd say I always follow God, what he wants me to do and everything. He wants the best for my life, I'm trying to get to the best.
Yep.
uh, and that's I think like is the big game. And I love the people that are W2. We need W2. I always say
Yeah.
like people that are W2, we need W2 because like uh who I'm gonna hire from a business if no one want to
Exactly.
be W2.
And the reason so few people are successful is because it's so difficult, which pushes more people into that. And the thing that people don't want to admit either is you will take 3 a.m. phone calls as an entrepreneur, but you can pay somebody to take them for you if you don't want to do it.
Hmm.
And the other thing I realized when I was at Accenture was that a lot of times the incremental work, the stuff before 9 a.m., after 5 p.m., wasn't because it was truly needed, but because my boss was too low self-esteem or too unconvinced of their value to tell the client, yeah, I could do 10 more modules of analysis around this, but the answer is three.
Yep.
And when I saw that happen on a couple of projects where I was like, out of those 100 slides, like really, we needed 10 of them. And we had already concocted that in the first 5 days of the 5-month project. It's different working for like an incremental challenge solution problem, which, I still work some hard days now, but I'm working for one of my clients like you or somebody else who's betting $1 million on a personal guarantee. Like I can get up or stay up for that. When it's for
Yeah.
like slide number 307, no, man, no,
Yep.
not for me.
No, 100%. What you would say as being one, I would like to have an example of your most challenged deal, and also like not just like for yourself, but even because I know with Guardian you probably have seen a lot of deals. Whatever you can, I don't want
Sure,
if you can share if you think. And
sure.
what has been the best deal? Like I want to see the post, both side of it.
So the worst deal was the deal that I worked on. The last deal I worked on as a self-funded searcher before I took a year off. I had to move back in with my mom. It was terrible. And restarted with Guardian because I tried to buy a durable medical equipment business in Arkansas, using SBA 7A debt, before Live Oak Bank, that most people know is the number one, SBA 7A lender, before they were even doing acquisition loans with that debt product. This was back in 2016. And the deal sucked because I was close to running out of cash. I ran out of cash during the deal. I had to borrow money from my equity investors. I had to rely on equity investors who were friends, fraternity members of mine. So like I knew them, but still like that same $20,000 I was asking of them, or they were going to invest was money that them and their wife and their kids could have spent, right? So it wasn't coming out of my budget. And so you sort of realize truly what that is like. And then it ended up one of the mentors of my equity investors blew up my deal because he did not want my equity investor to leave his day job because his day job fed that mentor. And so the mentor blew the deal up, threw my life into a tailspin, threw a lot of our lives into tailspins for his own jealous benefit when he was already a multimillionaire at the time. The other thing that really hurt about that deal was that after the deal blew up, it was messy because the numbers worked. It was that the seller had gotten pissed off by this guy who had just blown the deal up. The seller then was like, yeah, I know you came out to Arkansas, spent a weekend with my family. And yeah, I know I came out to Atlanta, spent a weekend with you. And I know we went to this offsite in South Carolina and I was telling you all these things, but don't feel bad the deal blew up, Elliott. I was only going to sell to you if one president won the election because I thought that the regulation they were going to bring on was going to screw up the business. And so I was selling you a business that I thought was going to be screwed up. But since the other president won, I wasn't going to sell it to you anyway. So it wouldn't have mattered. Ha ha. See you later. And I'm like, you feel good for like 3 seconds. Like, okay, yeah, I would have got screwed up. Wait, this dude lied to me for 2 months.
Wow.
Deacon in the church, family. I met all four of his kids, had his wife's phone number in case I couldn't catch him. He had come and stayed with, it's like, oh, people will lie that much. And then they will claim this high and mighty moral compass and then feel completely he didn't have to tell me that he was a gosh darn liar and a cheat. He volunteered it, which made his assertion that he was a high integrity guy from before so flimsy to me. He was like, "Oh no, I just tell you I was gonna sell you a falling knife only, man." Whew. That still pains me to this day. And my clients, when they get in their worst situations, it's often a story I bring up. So that was the worst. The best was Guardian. It wasn't my deal. I was advising someone, and it was married guy, 2 kids, um, bought a business, actually a marketing business. And the acquisition of the business allowed him to move from Texas to, he reminds me, not just Belize, Elliot. I was on an island off the coast of Belize. So he moved his family down to an island off the coast of Belize. and
Nice.
lived there for 3 or 4 years before his kids needed to come back to the States to finish high school in a better situation. But when I helped this person transition from a good life in Texas, don't get me wrong, to like this fairy tale postcard life on the back of an acquisition, it kind of helped line up a couple of things that I knew could be true, but hadn't necessarily seen happen so quickly. Because you buy the business to make the money. You like the money for most of us to create the freedom. You like the freedom because you can do stuff like whether it's Belize, Greenland, wherever, right?
Mhm.
Work only weekends or never work weekends. It gives you the ability to make choices based on preferences, faith, right? Instead of necessity. And to see him buy the business, move to Belize, and then keep a low profile and I think play the game the way you should. Like his his ability to service clients with his utmost energy and occupation gave him the cash, that gave him the freedom, that gave him the location flexibility. And so instead of it being about him, it was always about serving.
Mhm.
And I think that line of demarcation really helps me see people who are going to sustainably be successful versus people who I think will struggle with that sustainability.
Nice. No, that's a beautiful one. I mean, that's like you say, it's partially like Robert the Dream for everyone. It's like, oh, I buy the business, but I honestly think it's hard to make that choice once you buy it. I see too many people, and I met too many people that just even if they build their own business or they have the opportunity to leave, but they don't want to leave.
Yep.
It's like,
Yep.
why should I leave? Like I cannot leave. This is not gonna go well. And it's the truth is not that the business not gonna make it. It's the truth that's like you just either you cannot trust or you're just scared. Like you're scared, like, oh, what's gonna
Yeah.
happen if
And a
I'm
lot of
gone?
people say they want to do things and don't execute. And after a while, I just stop listening because most things are a prioritization
Hmm.
exercise. Sleep, weight, money, right?
Yeah, no, that's
I want to be an Adonis, but I work 100 hours and eat terribly. Well, I mean, I get that it's hard because you prioritize other things, but there's a homeless guy that's in great shape because he doesn't have the other priorities put above it. And I don't think anyone's prioritization is wrong or bad. It's just when I hear somebody say they want to do something for the second time, my next question most often is like, well, what other things are you working on?
hmm
Why is this so difficult?
yeah,
Oh, these other five things. I got it.
and that's the things. It's I was thinking about that yesterday. When they say, don't put all your eggs in one basket,
Right.
and because you should, I was like, I understand the principle behind that, but honestly, I feel like the people that are successful are the one that put all the eggs in one basket.
That's it.
The people
That's
that
it.
they like extreme, that they literally like explode like crazy, and they are like those big, not even like let's say name like Elon Musk and everything. Those people are they
Yeah.
put all eggs in one basket. They
Yeah.
never thought they had the second basket. It was like
Right.
we are going all in one basket. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I have. One basket.
That's it. And I think most excellence, when you really talk to the people who have achieved it, felt like that. In fact, how do I say this without being disingenuous? That's the reason why business ownership to me, through dedication to clients, enables freedom.
Mm,
Not business ownership enables freedom because absent that middle step and your dedication to your clients, it doesn't work because there are things that I can do in year 8 of Guardian and year, you know, 14 of entrepreneurship and some of the relationships I have for 20 years that I can only do through the lens of those 20 years. Because people know that I'm going to take care of their stuff first. If you pay me, you're top of my list. I will inconvenience myself to make sure that you're made whole So now when I'm like, hey, I don't do this or I don't do that client, I don't get pushback because it's like, well, yeah, you earned it, A, but B, I get so many benefits relative to this one or two things you don't do. It's like, why would I even care? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's,
Yeah.
it's, I am very aware that my dedication to clients enables my freedom. And so what I was trying to get to is that when people conflate this balance concept as the primary goal, and there's a lot of influencers that do this SHIT.
Hmm.
It's like, oh, look at me. I'm important. Private jet. I don't have time to talk to my clients directly. I have a team for that. And then I do strategy sessions, but I don't really do the work. I don't punch the keys. It's like you took money from people and didn't focus on them being served. And now you want to brag about how much money you kind of grifted from people and how it affords you. That's not the sustainable way. I mean, I think one of the things that really makes me enjoy this work that I do is that the extreme and almost unreasonable dedication to clients. Because when somebody's betting $1 million on the back of my analysis, they're on my behind to get stuff done. And I'm
Hmm.
probably ahead of them being on my behind because I don't want them on my behind. But what that means is that we understand each other, right? If you understand me working for you like it was my money, people can feel that. And in that vein, you make one mistake, somebody's not jumping down your throat, right? Because it's like if I'm working for your money like it's mine, and you can
Yeah.
see that, I think it does something different for somebody than if I was like, oh, well, I'm Elliot, I'm important, got this fancy MBA, I don't really do the work, I manage the work. Oh, you mean my team didn't do it right? Let me talk to my team about it. No, Elliot, fix it today.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's it reminds me the book. It's mostly connected to hospitality business, but excellence wins. But I always like to use for everyone, even my clients. I always say like, if you put excellence first, like it doesn't matter what business you're running, like uh, it's gonna run by itself. You know, it's like
Yep,
the business, and actually even marketing becomes much easier. People don't understand. It's like when you are excellent, like people will not stop talk about you, and you a lot of the marketing that you need to do is gonna be much cheaper. You don't have to run like millions and millions of dollars in ads just because you have to run away from your bad reviews
that's right.
through the ads.
Yes,
Like people, they're gonna speak, they're gonna talk, and those are the business actually. Like more I've been looking around, the more I'm excited of. I'm
yes,
like people, they're afraid of on the business that they're all running with word of mouth. For me, I get excited.
yes,
Like if you make a million, almost a million EBITDA with word of mouth,
right.
like you're good. Like means
Yes,
your quality, your product, it's
yes,
amazing.
yes.
it's like
When you
it's like
understand that, when you understand excellence first, when you understand that a low marketing budget could be being a bit too frugal, or it could be that my product or service is so awesome, you know, like this might not be biblical, but it's the only way I know how to say it. Like good drugs sell themselves. You know what I mean?
yes.
Like if I've got the greatest whatever it is, right? And I'm on the corner and it's the best in the States. Like I don't need an ad campaign.
Hmm.
I don't need a billboard
Yeah.
when it's that good. The person in your neighborhood that's the best mentor, right? They don't
Hmm.
need to start a mentoring business or have a call list. Like people in the community are gonna bring their kids and cousins to, when somebody is just that great, um, it sells itself. And also I think when people commit to that kind of excellence, because I do believe that people do everything the way they do anything.
Hmm.
I think that you get to a place where it's like, well, I don't even know what this guy's doing, but I know he's doing it with 100% of himself, or he wouldn't even be playing the game.
Yeah. No, that's. Uh, I would love to stay on and talk longer. I really enjoyed this conversation, Elliot. But before we end, I would like for you to kind of like share something with people, maybe people that they're thinking about jumping in it. Um, something that could motivate them, but also could give some direction. Trying to understand if that's the right things for them, and also how to go with it.
The only way I can tell you know it's right for you is if you last in it, which was kind of something we talked about 20 minutes ago.
Mhm.
So you'll know if it's for you if in 3, 6, 9 months it doesn't bore you. You said it that way,
Yeah.
right? So just call me in 9 months and I'll know. Then I can tell you if it was right for you or not. What I can motivate you with is the concept of picking your hard. I don't know anybody that's gotten out in this place without working hard. They either worked hard on stuff that they thought about, strategized around, proactively chose, or they worked hard at the suffering that came from not making a choice, not being proactive, doing the bare minimum, you know, running their lives based on other people's wishes and whims, putting themselves in precarious situations because they were unwilling to work to get out of them. And so if your concept is it's going to be hard, it's going to be hard, pick a hard that if you win, it makes sense. When I say a lot, like I want to be playing games that I want to win. That's why
Mhm.
for me, the Accenture game didn't make sense to play. For my guys and gals that may partner at Accenture, they're like, Elliot, that game you were playing didn't make sense for me. I didn't want that. So we both did the right thing for our lives. But I think what's tragic sometimes is a person who has the aptitude, the willingness, the risk appetite to do something extraordinary that gets used to the expense accounts, gets used to the status, gets used to the promotions, foregoes a little bit more risk for a lot more reward when they could have been successful, and looks back. And by the time you get to your 40s, your 50s, 2 kids, don't let a private school tuition get in there, a failed marriage. Um, Now your choices are taken from you. So I guess the
Mhm.
motivational thing would be if you think you have it, try. If you're trying last 6 to 9 months, it's probably for you. And at that point, I don't think you need any more advice from me. Like if you like something that's what do you call it? Elective for that long, stay at it.
Nice. Thank you very much. And also, I feel like you told me you need to send the LOIs.
That's it. That's the only advice you need from me. Send the LOIs.
Send LOIs. That's good. Well, thank you very much, Elliot. Thank you much to be part of this call. It was really a pleasure for me to have you here to share this thing. I'm pretty sure everyone listen, they're gonna be excited, and maybe like have you again with a
Sure.
different conversation. Maybe you can explain more what exactly is all the different type of level, like you were say, private equity, independent sponsor and everything. Those are all other things that are important. But again, thank you very much for joining that.
Thanks for having me. I enjoyed it. Take care, man. Thank you.
Yes. Bless everyone. Have a great day.